It is 4 p.m. We're bringing developing news.
And the stories behind the headlines. This is Storycon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao. Some stories we're watching this Monday, March 16. The Energy Department announces another round of double-digit fuel prices or fuel price hikes this week. That's still due to ongoing tensions involving Iran, the U.S., and Israel. Projected adjustments from March 17 to March 23 include diesel at nearly 24 pesos per liter, gasoline by as much as 16 pesos and 60 centavos, and kerosene at 8 pesos and 90 centavos. The massive hike is sending diesel at over 100 pesos per liter in a few days.
Transport Group Piston and the Bagong Alyansang Makabayan announced a nationwide transport strike and protest starting Thursday, March 19, over rising fuel prices. The group said that the drivers, operators, and commuters will hold coordinated protests across Metro Manila and other parts of the country. They will call for the scrapping of the oil deregulation law and the removal of value-added and excise taxes on fuel.
Vice President Sara Duterte has yet to respond to the impeachment charges filed against her. She was earlier given 10 days to reply, and that period lapses today, March 16. House Justice Committee member Terry Ridon earlier said that if the Vice President fails to reply within the deadline, the impeachment process against her could be expedited.
And National Unity Party congressmen are threatening to leave the ruling coalition over alleged delays in fund releases for district projects by House Speaker Boji D. Members also raised concerns over DPWH projects labeled for later release or FLR, leaving many districts without funds installed infrastructure progress. The NUP is the second largest bloc at the House of Representatives. NUP Chair and House Deputy Speaker Ronnie Puna denied that the breakaway threat has anything to do with the impeachment proceedings against Vice President Sara Duterte. He said that their members were part of the majority who found the complaints against the VP sufficient in substance.
And of course, joining us today is Storycon's resident international man of mystery, Mr. Raul Llamas, also our political pundit.
Yeah. Happy Monday! No? Mukhang hindi masyado maganda yung simula ng Monday.
Well, wait until tomorrow.
Dahil bukas yung increase ng price ng oil, ngayon ay nagtataasa na in violation of Department of Energy. No? Parang hindi natatakot itong mga oil companies. Diba? Specifically, yung mga gas stations sa Quezon Avenue. Specifically, nagtaasa na, 90 plus na.
For gasoline?
Oh yeah.
Well, we don't. To be fair, we don't know if that's in response to tomorrow's adjustment or that was from previous weeks, or that was from previous
90
weeks.
pesos is for tomorrow. Ibig sabihin,
That's
nag-adjust
supposed
na
to be
sila
a Tuesday
the day
adjustment.
before.
Hindi, ang ni-release lang ng DOE is a range. So they're not capping prices
Bukas yung
at
taas.
anything.
Bukas yung increase.
So the range for gasoline is 12.90 to 16.60. Diesel is 20.40 to 23.90. Ouch. Kerosene is 6.90 to 8.90 maximum.
Yeah.
Wait, sorry, let me just bring in Philippine Star Editor-in-Chief Ami Pamintuan as well before we move on.
Ayan, malaman nagpagasin, nakangiti na
Hi! Happy Monday! Hindi, bumili ko ng Happy Monday, everybody.
Lower
Ibigay
than
ko
blue.
kayo ng konting good news.
Ano?
Merong report from abroad. IEA will flood Asia and Oceania. Asia, importante. Kasama tayo with their emergency stocks. Immediately. Yan, may
International
istoryang ganyan ngayon.
Energy Administration?
International
IEA.
Energy Agency.
Agency?
Energy
Energy.
Agency.
Is that the UN
IEA.
agency?
No, it's not a UN agency. It's a coalition of
No.
I don't think it's affiliated with
producing
UN,
ano?
but it's quasi-regulatory body, I think. Hindi siya regulatory per se, because there's also
Basta yung
the
emergency stocks nila. They will flood daw. Asia in particular.
Ginawa
and
nila yan.
Oceania.
Ginawa nila yan nung opening ng Ukraine War. No? Nag-release sila ng
To stabilize.
marami. Kaya to stabilize the cost. Pero
Nakabubili naman ako kanina, ngayon lang ng
Yeah.
LPG. Hindi pa
Sana-
naman tumataas yung LPG ko.
sana makatulong, pero iba kasi yung Strait of Hormuz doon sa Ukraine War. No? Sana makatulong. Tapos sa inyo, yung reklamo ko, Dahil 70 plus yung price ng
Diesel.
diesel. 70 plus, 72 to 74. Ngayon, 90 plus.
Nagpagas ka kanina.
Yes.
On
Dapat-
Quezon Avenue.
yeah,
Tapos napansin mo na 90 plus na.
Yes. At
Oh,
sinek ko yung iba, pero lahat,
Why didn't you...
ano lang, kaya nga pinapaabot namin sa DOE.
Tinanong mo yung ano? Gas
Anak,
station?
inuna mo
Oh,
picture.
dahil alam nila bukas pa eh. Bukas pa sila.
Ba't tinanong mo
dapat
sila
bukas.
bakit ang taas na ng prices nila?
Yes. Oo. Hindi ko sila tinreten dahil baka matreten eh.
Ano sabi? Ano sabi nila?
Ayun na
Ah?
yung range that we're looking at.
Sumusunod lang daw sila. Galon-galon. Sabi ko, bukas pa yan ah. Bukas pa yan
Sumusunod
dapat
saan?
pagtaas nyo. Tapos end of the week, tataas pa daw uli.
Correct.
Mag 114, 115. No? End of the week lang, ha? So, paano kaya next week? No? Oo. Yung DOA nagsabi na, na this week ay tataas pa uli. Hindi pa nga tumataas hanggang 90 eh. Dapat tomorrow. Tapos tataas pa daw within the week to 114, 115. So,
Well,
Tignan natin within the week.
Again, the prices are not set by the DOE, but the timing of the adjustments are coordinated with the DOE.
DOE.
Kasi may circular ang DOE doon dyan, 2019 eh.
Yes.
Na
Yeah.
any adjustment has to be coordinated with the DOE a day before 3 p.m.
yun nga yung pinapaabot
Yes.
namin, yung timing. Dahil ang timing dapat bukas eh. Diba? Bakit
Yeah, every
nagtaas
Tuesday
today?
yan. Kasi that's what is coordinated among the oil companies and the DOE.
so the International Energy Agency is Paris-based.
Yes.
It's in France, and it's
Yes.
it's an intergovernmental organization that works with all of the majority of the petrostates, the countries that produce the
Yes.
the oil. So on the one hand, that is good news, but on the other hand as well, parang this war is taking on a new dimension. Now you have President Trump calling for the allies
NATO.
to come and help to send ships to the Strait of Hormuz to help escort the vessels, the oil vessels out. And so far,
NATO.
as of this time, as of ngayon, no one has taken him up on his offer, on his request.
Dahil
Oh,
sabi ng ilan kasi,
pinag-uusapan pa yata.
yung mga iba, papalusutin nila, maliban sa mga kaalyado ng US. So,
Which, no, France has turned down the offer already. Japan has said no. Australia has said no. Sino pa yung
Pilipinas.
minention niya? Well, hindi naman tayo na-mention. Wala naman tayong vessels to send there to escort the oil vessels.
Russia.
NATO daw,
He
NATO,
didn't
tinatawag
mention.
ng Trump.
Well, yeah, the NATO countries. Pero
Pati sa China, humingi siya ng
remember,
tulong.
before this, yes, pati sa China. Before this, he was
China, tumutulong daw sa Iran eh.
Diba, he was attacking NATO before this
Yeah.
war, and he was belittling NATO.
Yeah.
And now, yun nga, people are pointing to the fact that he's turned around and asking NATO for help
Even
with this
Russia.
war that he
Yeah.
started.
Even Russia, may embargo siya. Diba?
Hindi, affected naman kasi din yung NATO, kaya siguro malakas ang loob niya. Affected din yung NATO countries eh.
sabi ng Iran kasi, papadaanin namin yung hindi kaalyado ng US. Kung kaalyado, kung magsasama ang
Sino,
NATO sa
kaunti lang
US,
yun.
lalo sila maiipit.
May reports actually na papadaanin nila the oil that is traded in yuan, in the Chinese yuan. I don't know how true
Kaya
that is.
nga,
I
China
just
lang
saw it.
lalabas dyan.
They've been able to
China,
successfully
Korea lang
export
yan.
Chinese oil
Yes.
oil to China.
Kaya
Nakakalusot
nga,
sila.
China,
And-
North Korea lang yan.
Pero maliit lang, mga
magro-roll out
1.5
daw ngayon
Maliit
yung
lang.
laser.
Maliit lang, maliit
Maliit lang eh.
Oo.
But that's good for China. Yeah.
Tsaka Bangladesh.
And then over the weekend, the U.S. started bombing military targets in Karg Island. Just the military targets.
Yeah,
That's
Karg
significant
Island.
because Karg is, basically where 90% of Iran's fuel is loaded and
Infrastructure.
shipped.
Yeah. Nagpadala na rin ako ng aking ng aking cargo vessel.
Iba at ang bagahe, ibig mo sabihin. But it's significant kasi, and also it's significant that the U.S. has not been bombing the oil facilities of Iran because that will have long-term repercussions as well. So they've been very careful to only go after so-called military facilities on Karg Island in Iran, this is the Persian Gulf.
Pero
Well,
expected kasi ni Iran na bobombahin naman yan eh. So hindi sila, affected sila, pero ibig sabihin, hindi sila surprised.
Magro-roll out daw soon, very soon, ng US ng laser, anti-drone laser systems. Pambantay din dyan sa Strait of Hormuz. So, titignan din natin yon.
Oh, but that can only be deployed sa limited areas eh. Hindi mo siya pwedeng i-deploy sa buong Gulf area. At least
Hindi,
immediately.
dyan lang naman sa maliit na area yan.
At least immediately.
Kailangan ko lang bantayan yung maliit na area.
There's
Yung-
just about
Malit na yan.
45 minutes ago, the port of Fujairah in the UAE was hit again by missiles. Because this is breaking news, ina-assess pa yung damage at this point. But the Fujairah port is of the world's second largest bunkering hub. So you can imagine, talagang
Yes.
this is these are very targeted strikes.
Yung laser ko, babawiin ko na kay Manny Mogato. Ginagamit pa niya sa kilay niya.
Baka laser pointer mo yung sa blackboard.
Ay, nako.
Which brings us back to yung proposal to suspend fuel excise taxes. It has been it has been certified urgent, but
Pagtapos na tong crisis, saka na maaprubahan na ng Congress.
Ha? Sususpend yung excise tax?
but it was
Pwede naman mag-EO si pag no longer in session yung Congress, pag nag-break, pwede na mag-issue ng EO si President Marcos.
pero he certified it as urgent now, right? As promised.
Yeah.
And then now the bill has
Ah.
passed second reading in Congress.
But teka, pause muna.
Good as pass na yun.
That bill requires a 30-day averaging.
Yes.
For,
Hindi siya
for
immediate.
Brent crude to
Kaya nga.
stay above $80 a
So
barrel.
maghintay tayo isang buwan bago magdesisyon kung ano.
Wow, isang
Sabi
buwan
ko
lang.
nga mapapasayang pag ano
Actually,
Tapos na yung crisis.
actually sa 21, break na ang Congress.
Oh, so after
Yeah,
natin
Pwede na.
bumalik sila.
So next week pa sila mag-resume after
Okay.
Holy Week.
Okay, so
diba?
next week they do third reading of the
Yes,
bill.
yes.
Then they pass it.
Tapos sa Senate pa yan, BICAM pa yan. No?
Tapos
So,
Tapos magbabaykan pa, and then, so we're looking at, and then they have to wait 30 days for
Yeah,
Brent
for
to
the
stay above
averaging.
$80 a barrel.
yes.
So we're gonna get this fuel excise taxes
Sa
cut
Christmas.
in June.
Sa Christmas. Masyado namang optimistic.
Sa State of the Nation, kayo
Talaga,
naman.
optimist ka
Para may
talaga.
pagmalaki sa State of the Nation.
Tama-tama sa SONA.
So he can announce it sa Sonar. Oo nga, no, ang galing ni Eda.
Ayan, para may
Tapos
maipagmalaki.
tama-tama sa SONA, tapos na yung gera.
Okay, we
Pwede
have,
kasama yung sa accomplishments, di ba?
pwede.
Masyado
Like,
naman.
look, I suspended fuel
Masyado
excise
naman kayong
taxes.
skeptical. Oo.
Okay, the other breaking news we have just now is that the peso is closed at another record low. Second
Oo nga.
time in third time in 2 weeks. 59.87 is what we're talking about. It sometime in intraday trading it hit as low as 59.95, so almost $60
Yeah.
pesos a dollar na. Which again is not
59.94.
entirely unexpected because even before this Middle East war,
Bumababa naman talaga.
there was expectations now that the peso might hit 60 to the dollar, and now, with the added complications of the war, it could very
At
well
saka-
go past 60.
At saka kung hindi yan sasagipin ng BSP at wala namang papasok na new influx of dollars from remittances, halos sigurado na lalampas siya ng 60.
So in all likelihood, next week's increase will be much higher pa?
Sa dollar?
Hindi, sa oil prices.
Oo, dahil end of the week, magkukan siya eh.
Mag-average,
Mag-114, 115. So iba pa yung next week. No?
Unless na mag-EO na siya, President Marcos.
Or if
Yung EO niya can be immediate.
yeah, you can say that
Immediate
this is a
yan.
crisis.
It is?
He can kasi
Mamamasyal pa nga sa UN, kayo naman crisis.
it does give him power to declare price controls during crisis, right? And
Yes.
say, okay, this is a crisis. Let's put a pause on fuel excise taxes for now. And VAT, now I'm hearing lots of people call for the VAT suspension as well, which is 12%.
LTFRB, pinayagan na mag-increase ang mga kwan eh. Mga
Fares.
Mga fares eh.
Provisional.
Initial pa lang yan.
Piso pa lang eh.
Mga provincial
Initial pa
bus.
lang nga yan. Initial
And that's
pa
for
lang yan.
buses.
Yeah.
Yung jeeps wala
Saka
pa.
provincial buses.
So,
Provisional naman sinasabi nila, pag bumaba yung pwedeng mabawasan yung akyat ng pasahe.
kaya
Actually, yung
lang,
tanong dyan kung kamusta yung mga kailangan ko mag-taxi this week. Kasi sila, obviously, wala pang galaw sila eh. Yung kailangan mag-taxi o...
Hindi, tsaka yung kwan. yung mga transport in goods and services. Yung kasi magkakaroon na ng slowdown.
Well, I mean, you're already seeing
Yeah.
it sa airplane tickets. I was trying to book flight tickets last night and tumalon talaga from
Oo, laki ng
a few
kerosene
weeks
last
ago.
week. Oo.
From a few weeks ago when I was looking at flights,
Kami, meron kaming trip sa Puerto Princesa next week. More than 20,000 na. Nag-increase na siya ng more than 5,000.
5,000 from the previous
The
week
previous
when you
one.
checked.
Yeah,
So,
more. Much more.
Ala, hindi ka bumili ng maaga.
well, hindi naman tayo inabisuhan ni Trump that he was going to start a war.
Inaantay ko yung tawag na eh. Hindi naman tumatawag.
Hindi mo nagsabi that he's going to start a war in the Middle East. So, okay. We have no recourse.
Kasi last week pa lang, pumala ng 125 ata yung kerosene eh.
Kasi kahit shipping fares within the Philippines, yung inter-island,
Yes.
last week pa tumaas yung fares eh. So obviously, ang mga flights, syempre tataas yan.
Tapos habang nangyayari yan, nagrereklamo yung ilang mga political parties at saka congressmen dahil kinakat yung kanilang mga benepisyo per district. No?
Kaya ba nagpaparamdam yung
Parang
NUP ng
impeachment.
impeachment?
Oo, kaya nagagalit sila. No?
Yun ang connect ng ano, yung paramdam ng NUP.
Yes. Sinabi nila sa press con, no? Kinakat yung benepisyo ng mga
Wala naman daw
congressman per
connection sa
district.
impeachment. Kayo naman eh.
Wait. Let's be clear. Benepisyo nila for themselves or for their constituencies? O yung
Of course.
budget for the
Of
constituencies?
course, sa constituency
Ah,
yan.
How much
Yan
was
para
it
sa
cut?
kanila. No? Siyempre mga projects. No? Mga projects.
Public Works ang binanggit eh. Tama ba yung narinig ko yun?
Yes, public works.
Public Works projects daw yun.
Nagkaukan ngayon eh. Very conservative ngayon ang DPWH. No? Yung mga dating mabilis lumabas, masyado nilang
For later
ini-screen
release.
maigi. Bakit kaya? Ba't kaya masyadong ini-screen? Bakit due diligence na maayos? No?
Well, the other side of it I heard is maraming takot mag-sign off sa mga projects sa
Yeah.
DPWH. So everything is frozen at the moment kasi nga they're worried about getting dragged into the scandal. So yung mga bago na pinalit after
Maingat na maingat.
Sec Bunoan
Yeah.
left, super careful about these, which is stalling projects, which is part of the problem.
Yes.
So lahat to connected din.
Tapos,
Kaya,
siyempre,
kaya nag-slow down yung GDP natin last year because of that.
tapos alam mo naman
Bumagal
namin,
nga
di ba?
lahat ng government spending eh.
Maraming gustong palitan yung speaker. Di ba? Hindi naman ganun karami, pero may mga gusto.
May mga factions na naman.
Oh, na ang bagal naman itong speaker, ang hina. So, palitan na natin. At may nagbo-volunteer na pumalit, no? Ganon. So, habang nangyayari itong economic crisis natin, itong oil crisis, may mga political crisis din
Oo.
na nangyayari.
Yung sarili
diba?
nila,
Sumasabay
inaano
Oh nga, no, that really reminds me. Oh, President Marcos does have the power to call for an emergency price control provision
Hindi, pag
mechanism.
nag-recess,
Even in
he
a
can issue
deregulated
EO.
regime.
I wonder
He can
at
suspend.
Actually,
he can't.
the old regulation law has section 14 that allows the DOE to take over
in times of crisis.
times of
Pero
in
who
emergencies.
defines crisis, right? That's the question that I'm thinking now. Like, okay, at what point do we let this get away from us? Yung oil prices, yung supply issues, and so on and so forth, before he calls before he calls it a crisis.
Siguro pag nag-increase na by 100% yung price of oil, that's a
Ang
crisis.
sakit na nga
Medyo-
sa
medyo lumalapit na yun.
In just a few-
Malapit na
In
tayo.
just a few days, di ba? Not even months, di ba? That's a crisis.
The law does not,
Pero
does
gaano
not
katagal ba
elaborate
yung recess eh?
on the preconditions.
Basta daw naka-recess yung Congress, he can issue an EO. Suspend the excise tax. Immediately. Kaya pag recess, iniintay natin within the week. Dapat mag-issue na siya kasi sa kanya mapupunta yung pressure niyan eh.
Tsaka
Bakit
dapat,
hintayin mo pa yung House?
hindi ka magde-declare ng crisis pag nasa crisis ka na. Kaya subukan mong pag
To head it
nagsisimula
off.
pa lang, di ba?
Hindi. The downside to that thinking is you call it too early and then it doesn't amount to
Yeah.
anything, right? That's also a problem kasi you don't want to try to interfere in the markets unless it's
I
really
think the
needed
market
na.
now is Iran. So, yun yung tinitignan mo eh. No? That won't
There's
be fixed.
also problematic
Yeah.
din yung pag tinawag mo too early and then you intervene in the markets, tas ayun pala, it resolves, the crisis resolves
Pero
itself
pag,
fast.
nag-declare ka na crisis during the height of the crisis, ano pa magagawa mo? No? Yun naman yung at the other side of it. No?
There's no easy answers in economics, which is what we always keep coming back to. Pag ekonomiya na yung pinag-uusapan, there are really no clear-cut answers. Case in point,
94 na, 94.
80, 81.
Kanino yun? 94. Ayun, 94.
Yeah.
Kanino yan?
There's,
So, ano bang naririnig natin?
meron din ngayon push to bring back to re-regulate oil.
Nako.
Problematic
Ay,
din
nako.
yun. For the people who don't remember anymore. Again,
Oil
I was
Price
on board.
Stabilization Fund.
The OPSF was very problematic, and it's also
Ayan,
problematic
96 na,
pag ibalik mo yung control ng
96.
oil prices sa government.
By the way, ano naririnig natin sa Secretary of Finance? Parang tahimik.
Well, I get the press releases.
Yeah.
There's a lot of the last press releases was on policy funding to help businesses grow and prepare workers for high-quality jobs. Yun yung last na press release na nakuha ko from there.
Nothing new.
DOF and attached agencies ensure continuous public service with uniform work arrangement,
Even with a 4-day week.
even with the 4-day work week, in line with President Marcos's directive to reduce actual electricity and fuel consumption at this time.
Na-study ba gano'ng kalaki masasave dyan?
I didn't see. Okay, ito na yung. Last week, they issued a statement to say government readies plans to protect Filipinos from sudden price hikes amid the conflict in the Middle East.
How?
Ready's plan. Ready's plan pa lang. Ready's plan.
How daw?
Well, number one, they are working with the oil companies to gradually adjust fuel prices over several weeks. Ito na nga yung staggered adjustments that Secretary Garin was talking about.
Staggered pa yun.
Ay, araw-araw nagtataas.
Staggered.
Oh, ye of little
That's
faith.
not very staggering, you know.
Okay, tapos
Then nai-stagger tayo.
DOTR is
We
rolling
get
out
staggered by the prices.
DOTR is rolling out fuel
Yan yung
subsidies
staggered.
for PUV operators. Na-announce na rin ito. The DA will provide fuel subsidies to farmers and fisher folk to keep food prices stable. MMDA will launch the electric Love Bus program to offer free rides on select Metro Manila routes. And the government is closely monitoring global oil prices and the duration of the ongoing conflict so we can respond again.
Dami kong
Accordingly.
kadate yan. Nung high school ako. Doon sa Labas.
Labas. Oh, yung kulay blue.
Yun yung takeaway mo sa electric Love Bus nila. Marami kang kadate doon.
Nung high school,
Teka, ibig mo sabihin,
love bus eh. So, dapat may love.
kabibili lang nila ng electric love bus o dati na itong binili tapos ngayon lang nila na-announce kasi
Hindi ko
tinanong
sure.
nila sa akin.
Basta-
kasi hindi
basta
ko nakabilis yan na bumili ng love
It says-
ng electric
Hindi
love
pa siya
bus.
nakagamit ng love bus.
It says will launch electric Love Bus.
Tsaka yun yung love bus, maganda yung double decker.
Electric, yun lang naman ang bago ron,
Wala akong
electric.
kinalaman dyan.
Dati nang may love bus.
Sabi nga ni,
Ang daming
Dati
double
nang may
decker.
love bus,
sabi
yung
nga ni chair
electric.
na ICI, what the world
Bago.
needs now is
Is
love.
love. That's
Ayan
why we
tuloy
have a
kung ano
Love
nangyari.
Bus. So that's why we're bringing back the Love Bus. Okay, at this point, we're gonna bring in our first guest. We're talking to Modi Floranda. He's the National President of Transport Group Piston. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon po.
Magandang hapon, sir.
Hi, gandang hapon po.
po sa inyo at
Yeah,
sa ating mga taga-subaybay. Magandang hapon po sa lahat.
Yeah, in summary po, anong tingin nyo yung nangyayari ngayon in relation sa inyong sektor? At anong tingin nyo yung immediate future nitong nangyayari as a crisis para sa transport workers?
Una, hirap na yung ating mga drivers, mga operator dahil nga dito sa sanhi na patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo na kung saan ay halos wala nang may uwi yung ating mga driver sa panahon ng 12 to 18 hours ng kanilang pamamasada ay nakakapag-uwi na lamang sila ng 300 pesos na kung saan ay paano pagkakasyahin doon sa kanilang pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya. Sa ngayon po ay malaki na yung nawawalang kita ng ating mga driver na napupunta na lamang sa presyo po ng petrolyo.
Sir, yung 300 pesos, sir, bago pa yan yung pagtaas bukas. Yung panibagong pagtaas, hindi pa yan kasama.
Opo, parang bukas po ay merong 20 to
Oo,
22
malaki-laki yung
pesos doon
bukas. Mas malaki yung bukas.
na Pag tingnan po natin, mula po January hanggang sa kasalukuyan, ay halos 3,600 pesos na yung aming pong konsumo sa usapin pa lamang ng crudo kung kami po ay nakaka-30 liters per day. Kaya pag tinginan po natin, sa loob po ng 25 days, ay halos sa 90,000 po yung napupunta na lamang sa crudo na dapat ito ay nagagamit na doon sa pangangailangan ng ng ating mga driver at mga operator. Pero dahil nga sa patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo, ay ito po'y direktang nawawala.
Nakausap na ba ho kayo ng DOTR tungkol dun sa possible subsidies na ibibigay daw sa inyo? At alam nyo ba kung gaano kaliit yan? Gaano kalaki?
Una, hindi po kami nakakausap ng DOTR. Batay lamang sa ating monitor, magbibigay daw sila ng 5,000 sa mga driver.
Yes, beginning this week.
Ay, titingnan natin, makakatulong, dahil 5,000 yan. Pero pag tingnan po natin, bunga ng epekto ng pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo, ay halos gagamitin lamang ng isang araw at kalahati yung 5,000 na inialat nila para sumpusan sa subsidiya. Opo.
Mr. Floranda, balita ko yung ibang mga kasama nyo. Parang nagpupulig na lang kayo, yung parang nababawasan yung mga yung mga jeep
Biyahe.
sa kalye. Kasi parang naghahati na lang ng kita yung isang jeep. Tama ba 'yon? Nangyayari yan?
Yun na po yung nangyayari, mula po noong January, na talagang naghahati na lamang yung driver at saka yung operator na pinagkakasya na lamang nila yung kanilang maliit na kinikita. Kaya talagang nagsasaper, hindi lamang yung driver, kundi yung ating pamilya at siyempre yung ating mga mamamayan sapagkat sa bawat pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo, tumataas yung mga pangunahing bilihin at hindi na makagabay yung maliit na sahod at kita ng ating mga driver at mga operator doon sa pangangailangan ng kanilang pamilya. Kaya nagkakaroon po talaga ng tendensya na naghahati na lamang kung magkano yung matitra mula po sa crudo.
Saka binaba na rin daw yung yung boundary. Yung ibang mga operator daw nagbaba naman ng boundary. Kasi nga daw nakikita naman nahihirapan nga daw yung mga driver. Talaga ba nangyayari yun?
Meron na po mga operator na talagang nagpuksa natin na dahil nakuha naman nila yung kalagayan po ng ating mga driver ay sila mismo ay nagbawas ng 100 to 200 doon sa kanilang boundary. Kung dati ay nagpapaboundary sila ng 700, sa ngayon po ay ginagawa na lamang ng 500, kahit pa paano ay may uwi yung kanilang driver.
Hindi ba ho nakatulong yung binigay sa inyo ng LTFRB na pag-increase ng inyong fare sa mga jeepney at saka sa iba pa?
Wala pa po yun. Wala pa po yung fare hike.
Tomorrow yata mag-umpisa?
At parang ang balita namin
wala pa.
ay parang bukas po i-announce, i-announce ng LTFRB kung magkano yung kanilang ibigay na fare hike. Pero sinasabi natin, bagamat ito ay makakatulong sa ating mga driver at mga operator, magkano man yung ibibigay ng LTFRB, ay ito po ay tahatang lalamunin lamang din ng mga pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo sapagkat bukas nga po ay may napipinto na 20 hanggang 22 pesos per liter muli ang idadagdag sa presyo po ng diesel.
May welga ho ata kayo sa Huwebes, tama ho ba? Ano yung inyong panukala? Ano yung proposal? Anong gusto niyo mangyari?
Kanina ay nagkaroon po tayo ng press con, diniklara na po natin na tuloy na po ang transport strike na mag-start po yan ng March 19. Hindi lamang dito sa National Capital Region, kundi sa lahat ng bahagi ng ating bansa ay magkakaroon po ng mga pagkilos ng ating mga driver, magkakaroon po ng transport strike. Kasama po, hindi lamang ang mga driver, kasama ang iba't ibang sektor ng ating lipunan na tinatamaan din ng patuloy na pagtaas ng presyo ng petrolyo dito sa ating bansa.
Pero ano po ang hinihingi nyo? Anong hinihingi nyo dito sa pag-threaten nyo ng transport strike nationwide? Anong willing kayong tanggapin?
Ang hinihingi po natin ay kagyat na tanggalin ang implementation ng oil regulation law dahil sa loob ng 28 years ay hindi siya nagsilbi sa interes ng mga driver, hindi siya nagsilbi sa interes ng mga mamamayan, kundi nag-silbi lamang siya sa interes ng malalaking mga negosyante katulad ng Shell, ng Caltex at ng Petron. Pangalawa, yung pong kagyat na pagsuspende o pagtanggal sa usapin po ng excise tax na langis at yung pagtanggal po sa VAT. Dahil ito yung isa sa nagtutulak ng lalong pagpapahirap hindi lamang sa mga driver kundi sa ating mga mamamayan sapagkat sa bawat litro ng diesel na kinakarga natin, meron po 6 pesos sa ilalim ng excise tax at halos sa kasalukuyan ay 10 piso naman sa usapin po ng VAT. Kaya ibig sabihin niya, nakapatong po sa bawat litro ay umaabot na po ng 16 pesos per liter yung nakapatong. Kaya nagdudulot ng pahirap sa hanip po ng mga driver at operator.
Yeah.
Pero, okay.
Go. I was just gonna say, sir, naintindihan namin your request, no? Kaya lang mukhang matatagalan pa. These are long, medium-term solutions katulad ng pagsuspend ng deregulation law and pagsuspend ng excise taxes, pagsuspend ng VAT. Lahat po yan kasi kailangan dumaan sa Kongreso. So it might take a while. But in the meantime, what else do you want? Or what else are you asking for? Ano pang pwedeng gawin ng government here?
Na immediate.
Na immediate na solusyon.
Ang tingin po natin ay merong mandatory ang Pangulo. Pwede po siya sa panahon ng krisis na gamitin niya na pwede po siya maglabas ng isang step order na isinususpend niya yung implementation ng mataas na buwis sa produktong petrolyo.
Pero sir, siyempre iba pa ho yung yung usapin ng buwis sa whether it's VAT o yung excise taxes. Pero ibang usapin pa po ho yung yung deregulation law. So ang gusto ninyo ibalik sa gobyerno ang pagdedesisyon kung magkano dapat ang presyo ng gasolina.
Opo, kasi talagang sabi nga natin, siyempre, yung isa pa rin na panawagan namin, yung kagyat na rollback sa halagang 55 pesos.
Pero alam niyo naman po yung naging problema dati. Kung gobyerno lang ang nagpapasya.
Politicized yan.
Oo, kaya nga nagkaroon tayo ng oil deregulation law na
Politicized.
tinutulan din ng maraming grupo ay dahil medyo hindi rin ganun kagaling yung pagpapasya ng gobyerno.
Dati,
politicized.
nung wala po tayong oil deregulation law, sa bawat paggalaw ng presyo ng petrolyo, ay nagiging bahagi ang sektor ng transport, nagiging bahagi ang mamamayan na nag-uusap. Kung tingin po natin ay magkano yung tataas at magkano po yung ibababa. Sa ilalim po ng oil deregulation law, ay mismo po yung gobyerno ay nawala ng authority o ng kapangyarihan para kontrolin ang pagtaas ng presyo ng langis dito sa ating bansa. At yan po ay mismo ayon sa Department of Energy na sinasabi nila na nakatali sila sa provision ng oil deregulation law.
Pero hindi ho kayo natatakot dun sa sa pagbuwag ng oil deregulation law na iaasa natin sa gobyerno yung pagdedesisyon.
Sa politiko.
Sa mga politiko ang pagdedesisyon
Sa
kung magkano
politiko
yung
yan.
itataas o ibababa ng presyo ng langis.
Na dati ay tinamaan naman ng corruption.
Tsaka po
Yeah.
dati puro subsidiya yan ng gobyerno. So nasa subsidies ng
Tayo
gobyerno
nagsasubsidy,
hindi lang yung
tao
mahihirap
rin.
pati yung mga mayayaman na yung mga sasakyan pagkalaki-laki ng makina. Yun lang po. Hindi ho kayo nababahala na bumalik dun sa ganong sistema.
Kaya nga po ang panawagan pa rin natin ay napapanahon talaga na tanggalin yung batas na ito at napapanahon din na bawiin mismo yung Petron at bawiin yung Malampaya para yung gobyerno mismo ang magpatupad at ang gobyerno ang magpatakbo ng ating industriya dito sa ating bansa.
National Oil Company ulit.
Okay.
Okay.
Salamat. Thank you so much for talking to us today. Modi Floranda,
Maraming
National
salamat po.
President of Transport Group Piston. Salamat, sir.
Salamat po.
Salamat po.
You are watching Storycon on One News. We just need to go to a very quick break. We'll be right back. Please stay with us.
Conference Group or the Storycon Group.
We've got developing news and the stories behind the headlines. Welcome back to Storycon, the Story Conference. I'm Ed Lingao.
And I'm Regina Lay. Still with us, Ami Pamintuan of the Philippine Star and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Also,
Sino niloloko nyo, ha? May niloloko kayo dyan, ha?
hindi, we were just talking about, sabi ni Ronald, he's gonna nominate me to be finance sec, but I can do something about this oil crisis.
Yung guest,
They're waiting for the punchline.
Hindi, wag na
Waiting for the punchline.
yung guest natin, sa mo nominate.
Wag na yung punchline.
Yung guest natin, sa mga
Also, joining us this afternoon, our second guest for the day, we're talking to Pulse Asia President Ronald Holmes. Welcome back to StoryCon, sir.
Magandang
Hi,
hapon,
Professor.
Reg.
Hi, sir.
And Ami, that's NTF political heckler.
Parang at last, inabutan kita, Ronnie. Dati kasi nakailang interview ka rito, wala ako eh. No?
Buti nga. Mabuti nga.
Iniiwasan ka talaga yata. Okay, we're talking to you, sir, about yung latest Pulse Asia
The first quarter.
first quarter nationwide trust and approval ratings, of course, of the president, vice president. I'm just pulling it up right now.
Parang nadagdagan si PBBM ng mga 3%. Nabawasan naman si
Just barely above the margin of error.
Vice
So-
President ng 3% din.
Ayan na. So we'll just show the chart. Approval ratings for President Marcos are at 35. And no trust ratings for him are 44. Kay VP Sara naman, it's
I
50.
think that's a different chart, Reg.
Ay, sorry.
Ano yan?
Approval
But,
is 36. Sorry, approval is 36. Disapproval is 45. Kay Vice President Sara, approval is 55. Disapproval is 27. What is the story there?
Well, there's no change from the last survey in December, basically for both the president and the vice president. What we notice as changes here will largely be in some subnational areas. In terms of approval and trust. Because if you look at, for example, the vice president, although these are still within the margin of error, there is the negative 1 percentage point decline, but there's a decline in terms of there's an increase in terms of disapproval in the balance of Luzon, although it's still within the margin of error. With regard to the trust rating, you also have an increase, although still within the margin of error, of 10 points for the vice president. So medyo in some areas, the vice president has lost some ground, but in general, across the country, you have a slight majority approving and trusting the vice president. And on the other hand, the president is retaining at least approval from about a third of the population.
Prop, kahit hindi ganun ka-significant yung pagbabago from the last survey, may nakikita ka pang indications in terms of bakit may ganitong klaseng incremental increase at saka decrease sa presidente at saka sa vice president. Of course, it's not a trend yet, no? Pa lang naman yan. Statistically, hindi naman ganun ka-significant. Pero from your vantage point, as yung ibang sombrero mo, may nakikita ka bang dahilan kung bakit nangyari ito?
Binalikan namin yung March 2025. I think that's a crucial date. No? Some groups commemorated actually a significant event last March 2025, which was the arrest and the dispatch of the former president to The Hague. Noong March 2025, nakita natin bumulusok yung approval rating ni BBM to its lowest. That was at 25%. Since that time, he has recovered, and you have about one-third of the population approving of the president. Umakyat naman yung approval ni Sara noon from, I think, about 52 or 54 to 60. And that was a significant increase. Because prior to March 2025, we saw incremental decline, marginal decline of the vice president's approval from about, I think, June 2024. Nagsimula noon yung good governance hearings. So, ibig sabihin, hindi naman talaga vulnerable ang vice president with regard to certain political developments prior to the arrest of the former president. But since that time, they have maintained essentially one-third approval or trust for the president and a slight majority approval and trust for the vice president. Hindi gumagalaw. Hindi sila lumalakas ng labis at medyo may pagbabago. Lalo-lalo na sa balance of Luzon, medyo magalaw yung approval at trust, lalo na sa vice-presidente.
So yung paggalaw by 3 percentage points, that's not yet statistically significant, no?
No, it should be more than, from survey to survey, it should be more than 6 percentage points. In the subnational areas, it should be more than 12 points. So anything less than the 6 from survey to survey would not really be that significant.
I asked that kasi yung, the president's disapproval ratings, from 48% of the fourth quarter last year to 45% first quarter this year. That's mga 3 percentage points. Si Sara naman increase yung disapproval niya from 24 to 27, also 3 percentage points. So very, very small movements, but these are not yet of any significance.
Not of any significance, maybe because at the time that the survey was conducted, if you try to look back, the political developments were not necessarily that harmful for both the vice president and the president. Notable dito, Ed, yung vice president actually declared her intention to run for president in 2028. That was in mid-February 2026. But you don't see a spike insofar as her approval and trust. So what does that mean? As a political scientist, I would say that if there was no spike, that means people basically expected
Na,
that
no
declaration.
surprises.
That's the very least, no? But if people were quite excited about it, we could have seen an increase in terms of more specifically in terms of trust of the vice president. But we did not see that in this survey.
Of course, ang bago ngayon, Professor, is the fuel crisis, ano? And you have another survey na showing na top concerns ng Pilipinos, still inflation and corruption. Diba, corruption, dun muna tayo sa inflation. Of course, everything is spiraling, all the prices are spiraling ngayon. Sa tingin nyo, magkakaroon to ng impact on the ratings of Bongbong Marcos in particular?
Well, depende yan basically, Ami, doon sa gagawin nila. No? I think the excise tax powers, the suspension of excise tax will be passed by Congress within the next few days, if not today. And I don't know how it will impact in terms of gasoline prices and how that will also impact in terms of the prices of other commodities. But definitely, this is the topmost concern on the part of the public. If it is not addressed, then the president may be held accountable in a subsequent survey. Of course, that survey is about 2-3 months from now.
Yes.
If I were in the shoes of the president, I would hope that the crisis in the Middle East would end immediately. But if it continues until, let's say, May and June, and we know that the impact of this in terms of prices would be quite significant, the president might be held accountable even if the conditions that bring about price increases would not be necessarily within his control.
Yeah. Kay BP Sara, walang impact yan kung sakasakali man.
Well, depende rin kung ano gagawin niya, what suggestions she would have and what steps she will take in order to address the problems of at least some of the constituencies that she would have where she lost significant support at this point in time.
Pero wala naman siyang power doon eh. Marerelate kaya yan sa job of the Vice President?
Well, meron naman siyang budget, di ba? Pinasa naman ng Kongreso yung kanyang budget. At doon sa kanyang budget, marami siyang mga programa. Pwede niya ituon yun doon sa ilang lugar at ipampahayag niya na tumutulong siya doon sa mga naapektuhan. And normally, yung naratibo ng kanyang gagamitin rito, ang maka-influensya sa opinion ng mga sumusuporta sa kanya o maaaring doon sa ambivalent kung siya'y aprobado o magtitiwala sa kanya.
But tell us more about your survey on top concerns of Filipinos, siguro.
Sorry, Prof, can I just add on to Ami's question? I was trying to look at the previous two reports to see which one jumped significantly or changed significantly, and obviously concerns about graft and corruption in government. I think it jumped double digit, 19, was it 19 percentage points year on year compared to the last report? And yet,
Yes.
at the same time, the administration is scoring very low on fighting corruption as a priority. What do we make of this?
Well, I think we would understand why the people are not necessarily satisfied or approving of the administration's performance in fighting corruption because, with the creation of the ICI has not done anything from the beginning of the year. You've had the Blue Ribbon Committee continuing its investigations, but up to this point, we have not really seen the full report or the partial report of the Blue Ribbon Committee. The president himself promised that there would be people who will be put into jail in the middle of December, and nothing much happened. So, in that sense, the promises and the result of the government may really be put into question by the public, and that is the reason why a significant majority are not approving of the administration's performance in terms of fighting corruption. 7 out of 10 are disapproving of their performance in terms of fighting graft and corruption.
Prof, very interesting yung lumabas in terms of satisfaction ng gobyerno sa pagtulong sa ating mga OFW. Politically significant ito dahil ito yung traditional base ng kanilang political enemies, yung mga Dutertes. Ano bang significant development in terms of ginawa ng gobyerno sa OFW para magkaroon sila ng ganyang kataas na approval rating in terms of helping our OFWs? Parang wala naman ako nakikita masyadong dramatic significance in their work.
Well, may segment ng population na meron sila kamag-anak na OFW. Pero pag tinignan natin, ito lang yung isa sa 18 na parating mataas majority ang approval ng publiko. Siguro nakikita nila naman na tumutugon sa mga kapakanan ng ilang OFW. Ang natatandaan ko lang, Ronald, na nakita ko nung huling pumunta akong Maynila ay yung OFW lounge sa NAIA. No? Gusto ko nga sana pumasok kasi libre pala pagkain doon. At hindi mo makapasok sa ibang lounge. So in that sense, there have been some programs implemented by government. And I think the Department of Migrant Workers have implemented also some programs which may have been received by at least the public who have relatives who are actually working abroad. And as I said, it's the only issue where the administration receives majority approval among 17 other issues.
Nga eh. I also noticed, sir, that your field work from Feb 27 to March 2 coincides directly with the confirmation of charges hearing for former President Duterte, of course. How did this play into the results, or did it at all?
Well, you say that there's no movement in terms, if you look at the Vice President's approval and trust as a surrogate indicator of the impact of the ICC, since there's no change, then we would say that it has not necessarily changed the public's opinion with regard to the whether it is warranted or whether it is acceptable, no? The ICC confirmation of charges hearing. Wala siyang naging impact, no, sa opinion ng publiko tungkol sa Vice Presidente. Kasi kung magkakaroon ng positibong epekto ito, maaaring tumaas, no, yung kung negatibo ang pagtingin ng publiko doon sa confirmation of charges hearing sa ICC, ay dapat tumaas yung approval at trust ng Vice Presidente. Wala naman tayo nakita pagbabago.
In relation doon, Prof, doon sa tanong ni Reg, yan din yung panahon na nag-announce si Vice President Sara na tatakbo siya as President. So wala rin masyadong epekto yon, negatively or positively?
Yan ang sinabi ko kanina, kung excited ang mga tao, talagang tuwan-tuwa sila, hindi sana umakyat ng malaki ang approval at trust, pero hindi gumalaw, no? So, maaaring kadahilanan doon, inaasahan na ng tao yung kanyang deklarasyon kasi nasabi naman niya na siya bukas. Yung nga lang, napaaga, no? Instead of December 2026, napaaga, naging February 2026.
So kung tatakbo kong presidente, dapat later or earlier ang announcement?
Then, tignan natin kung makaka-0.6 ka pa rin.
But is there anything else that we can read into that aside from the possibility na people expected it to happen to begin with? For example, if somebody new throws her hat into the ring, do you think the numbers would move significantly?
I would
Asking
say, no?
as a political scientist now.
I would say you should have expected a change in terms of the public's disposition towards a personality. If a person says that I'm really running for president, at least you would have seen those who were ambivalent as regards approving or trusting of the vice president would have shifted towards approval or trust. But we did not see it. So what does that mean? What that means is that the base of the vice president may just be the same. And it's not necessarily it has not in any way changed.
So it can mean stability, but it can also mean stagnancy.
Nag-freeze yata siya.
Nag-freeze yung ano.
Yeah.
Kaya mag-announce ba ako
Fish siya.
earlier or later?
I think better not. I think better just not announce. Huwag na.
In the island of the blind?
Wala talaga si Professor Ronald eh.
Nag-freeze si Professor.
I think as a friend, I will say wag na.
Nagkakagulo pa yung dalawang kasama ko rito eh.
Earlier or
Ayan na,
later?
ayan na. Okay,
Sir,
okay.
naputol kayo kanina. I was
Okay,
saying,
okay,
so
naputol.
it could go either way. It could mean stability as far as her numbers are concerned, but it could also reflect a sort of stagnancy. In other words, hindi nag-improve, hindi na-excite yung mga tao, hindi nagbabago.
Yeah, basically the base remains. Yung kanyang approval and trust would suggest that a slight majority of the Filipinos are approving or trusting of her. That is an indication that is the pool from where she can eventually mobilize political or voting support in 2028. Now, will that be retained? It will largely depend on the hearings in the Committee on Justice. It would depend on whether the impeachment case will be brought up to the Senate. The point that I raised earlier, when there were investigations being held in the House in 2024, we saw a decline in terms of the approval and trust of the Vice President. Now, will we see the same change if the hearings proceed and the impeachment case gets to the Senate for hearing? It will largely depend on the quality of evidence that will be presented. It will depend also on how this will impact in terms of public opinion. Because eventually, people are quite attentive to all of these developments, including the impeachment, the hearings in Congress. So we'll see. We'll see what will happen. It's hard to predict, but we saw how her approval and trust were affected by the initial hearings held in the last Congress.
Kailan yung
So,
susunod
mas
yung...
malaki impact sa kanya ng mas malaki impact sa kanya ng corruption issues kaysa yung sa tatay niya, which is now ongoing.
Yeah. Yung sa tatay niya parang nakinabang na si Sara Duterte doon nung Marso 2025.
After the arrest.
Ngayon, 60 siya noon. 60 approval at trust
Yes.
niya noon. Ngayon ay nasa slight majority, medyo bumaba.
50 plus.
Yung confirmation of charges hearing, hindi naka-apekto sa kanyang approval at trust. Yung kanyang deklarasyon, hindi naka-apekto sa kanyang approval at trust. Ang ibig sabihin, maaaring napapanatili niya, pero hindi naman mapapanatili yan. Wala namang approval and trust forever. Di ba?
Yeah.
And
Maaari
corruption
namang-
affects her.
Prof,
Corruption issues affect her.
Sorry, just last question. Go ahead, Ronald.
Prof, kailan yung susunod nyo na survey cycle? Dahil in the next 1 to 2 months, may dalawang significant developments. One ay yung impact ng Iran war sa ating economy na medyo nag-scale up na. At ikalawa, yung impeachment hearings will come to a full-blown impeachment sa Justice Committee at saka sa plenary. So ito yung dalawa na mangyayari in the next 1 to 2 months. Kailan yung susunod yung survey cycle? Dahil definitely may impact itong mangyayaring ito.
Normally, June Unless
Quarterly.
bibigyan mo kami ng parte, papakommission ka, Ronald, ng survey.
Sige,
Na earlier.
magkano ba yan?
Galing sa talent team mo.
5,000 pesos ba? Pwede na?
Ay.
Ipapadala ko na through GCash.
Basta barangay mo na lang yan.
Pasaload mo na lang.
Okay. Uy, padala mo na ngayon. We'll leave that there. We know you have to go, Professor, so
Thank you, sir.
we'll let you go. Thank you for joining us here on StoryCon. Pulse Asia President Ronald Holmes. Salamat, sir.
Maraming
Thank you.
salamat
Thank
namin
you.
and Reg
Thank you.
and
Thanks, sir.
Kabayo.
And we're on till 5:30 p.m. StoryCon will be right back after a quick break. Please stay tuned.
This is the Story Conference Group or the StoryCon Group.
Yung pinag-uusapan po ninyo ay on air na. So, harinawa, hindi kayo inabutan ng ating pag-on air.
We are back. Welcome back to StoryCon. I'm Regina Lay.
I'm Ed Lingao, and of course with us, Raul Llamas and Ami Pamintuan.
Si Ami talagang bluer than blue. Blue.
Excuse me.
Nakikisabay sa climate ng kalungkutan.
The climate of sadness.
Sadness. Dahil sa oil price increase.
Nabukas
Everything
papalo.
increasing actually.
Everything.
Hindi lang oil. Pati bigas ha. Baka daw mag-rice cap ha.
Oy, huwag kayong magkukuha.
Okay.
Baka daw mag-cap sa rice prices. Oo.
Prices,
Dahil
prices.
tumataas yan, taas rice prices. Baka they're considering a price cap and more importations.
Oh,
Ewan
okay,
ko lang
wag pala.
importation sa bagay, kapitbahay lang natin yung kin-import natin.
Vietnam.
So,
Huwag kayong
Hindi naman
mag-panic buying,
apektado
ha?
ng ano.
Huwag kayong mag-panic buying. Siguro bigas. Bumili kayo.
May interview sila kanina
laki
sa
naman.
ano, sa...
ang laki na 10 piso tinaas ha.
Kaya nga, oo nga.
Di
I think
lang
it was
2
Money Talks,
pesos.
ang sabi ni Stephen Kua, of course, it's not yet formal, pero ang sasabi niya is, they're trying to limit the increases in the purchases of consumers to not more than 15% of the regular purchases.
Good luck.
Yung nga lang, how do
Naku, lalong
they remember
magkakagulo yan.
who bought how much
Good luck.
last time? Diba?
Wholesale.
Saka lalong
Mga
magpapanik
wholesale.
pag ganyan eh.
Mga wholesalers.
Oh, lalong magpapanik pag ganyan. Wala pa naman ako nakikitang panic buying, hindi ka pareho nung Hindi ka pareho nung
Kasi
nag-umpisa
hindi
yung
pa
pandemic.
sumisipa masyado.
Yan na nga
But
eh.
this is the second week already of the increase.
Sumipa na
Tomorrow.
because we're into
Tomorrow's
week
the second
week 3 of the conflict, of the war. Sumipa na.
Yeah.
I mean, last week's increases were pretty high
yeah.
as well. I've never seen those.
Hindi ka
In
kasi
decades.
hindi ka kasi nag-grocery
This
eh.
week's increase
Hindi
is
ka kasi namamalengke. No. Hindi.
ako nang tinuro mo. Ikaw talaga.
Ako bumili ng bigas, yung
Ako,
wholesale ko.
namamalengke ako.
Yung binibili kong 49, naging 57.
Oh, yun mo, namamalengke ano?
Ano kalaki? 47 to 49, 57 ngayon yung binibili ko wholesale.
Ay, tanong natin yung guest natin kung magkano yung bigas dun sa ano yung ating guest eh.
Sa
Layo nun
UAE.
eh. Oo nga, layo ko nun.
Let's bring in our last guest for today. Gulf nations are facing more strikes from Iran, and there's also some concern over some
The two
arrests
Filipinos
made
who
of,
were arrested, allegedly, for
allegedly
posting photos
on
of
social media.
videos. Yeah.
Yes, bring in our Philippine ambassador to the UAE, Alfonso Ferdinand Ver. Ambassador, magandang hapon po, and thank you for joining us this afternoon. Welcome back to StoryCon.
Gandang hapon,
Gandang
Ambassador.
hapon din.
Hi, Ambassador.
Thank you for this opportunity.
Ambassador, meron na bang mga lumalabas dyan na parang interest yung ating OFW na bumalik dito? Last week kasi yung Singapore nagdala ng 24 OFW. Ginamit nila yung kanilang Royal Air Force para dalhin dito. Parang indicative ba yan na may mga dumadami yung gustong bumalik?
It's RSAF, Republic of Singapore
Yes,
Air
yes,
Force,
yes.
not Royal Air Force.
May ganun bang groundswell?
Actually,
or
last
konti
Friday
lang?
night,
Yeah.
we sent out the first charter flight from the UAE with 442 Filipinos, OFWs, and stranded tourists. So it was a special flight. Then the following day, another flight from Jeddah, Philippine Airlines. And then we have another one, hopefully this Wednesday, charter flight na naman. But in the meantime, ever since, I think that was March 4 or 5 when Emirates started restoring some of its commercial flights, unti-unti na rin may mga umalis doon sa flights na yon, and 2 flights from Etihad, from Abu Dhabi. And In fact, this morning we sent out another group of 38 mga seniors and some with families on their way now to the Dubai airport for a commercial flight via Emirates. So tuloy-tuloy na ever since March 4 or 5, some days there are 2 flights from Emirates. This morning there was an attack at the Dubai airport. It's been contained. No one was injured, fortunately, and flights are slowly going back to normal. So hopefully this flight can leave at 6 p.m. UAE time.
Is that significant, Ambassador? Or ito yung basically still the usual na mga biyahe ng mga Pilipino OFW na natapos yung kontrata or may gustong bumalik, no? Is that significant na ba itong mga binabanggit nyo?
Halo-halo na rin kasi like for example, yung special flight last Friday, 442, 450. In fact, Secretary Kakdak was on that flight going home. Halo-halo na yon yung mga... There was even one on a stretcher. She was paralyzed and a few wheelchair cases, mga kids, mga senior citizens, those who finished their contracts. In another occasion, we were able to bring home the Filipina who was injured here. Sabi kasi ng mother niya, uwi na lang siya. So, halo-halo and pati yung mga stranded, slowly but surely, habol na rin yung flights. And there was also a flight from Oman. They went overland they crossed the border to Oman and they took an onward flight there from Oman Air. So, hopefully, tuloy-tuloy na. Nahabol na rin yung backlog ng mga different airlines.
Ambassador, let me just clarify one thing. These are chartered flights arranged by and paid for by the government?
The one last Friday, 747 with 450 plus, it's special charter paid for by the government. The one this Wednesday is another one. The one from Jeddah, which arrived yesterday, was also paid for by the government. In the commercial flights, we are getting allocations for seats. Some we are paying.
Pero sir, how much interest or urgency is there among the Filipinos there to come home? I asked that kasi siyempre, nagbabalanse rin yung mga yan eh. On one hand, many of them, I suppose, want to come home because of the war there. On the other hand,
Most
takot silang
contracts.
takot silang
Wala ng trabaho.
Oo, wala nang mabalikan. So, gaano ho ka-urgent yung feeling ng mga tao dyan na kailangan nilang umuwi?
Yeah, you're right. Actually, may mga naninimbang pa rin. They are just submitting their names and their location, their addresses, just in case the situation escalates or talagang there's a call for repatriation. But everything here is, I could say, still stable, peaceful. Life is continued. Wala pa naman massive na nalilay off. Prices are stable and we're looking forward to Eid al-Fitr this weekend. Sana nga mag-ceasefire na rin at least or tumigil na rin to.
Gaano
Pero
karami
ano
ba ang
ba balita
pinag-uusapan
niyo? Kasi-
natin, Ambassador? Gaano karami ba ang OFW natin sa Gulf States? Gaano karami sa buong Middle East? Ano, sabi nila 2 million, sabi ng iba 1.5, including yung mga
Undocumented.
walang kontrata, no? etc.
Yeah.
So, what are we talking about in terms of numbers?
Dito just for UAE, in fact, we have surpassed Saudi Arabia. Dati Saudi Arabia is biggest.
Yes.
Now, UAE now, especially Dubai and the Northern Emirates, we have close to 1,975,980. Saudi has around 800 plus, almost 900. For the GCC countries, these oil-rich countries, 2.4 to 2.5 million.
Ami,
Marami.
Ami,
Yung
go ahead.
earlier projection niyo, Ambassador, sabi niyo, mukhang magkakatagalan tong conflict eh. Are you still holding that view?
Well, humuhupa na yung mga attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for example, yesterday, Iran said that they will retaliate here. They identified 3 ports here in the UAE, claiming that an attack on Karg Island in Iran, their oil processing island, came from missiles launched here. So they said that they will retaliate. Well, first of all, UAE denied that vehemently. UAE is not being used to stage offensive or retaliatory strikes. And we monitored that there was one minor attack in one of the ports identified. This morning, isa lang, and
The Fujairah
sana
port.
tuloy-tuloy lang. Yeah, in Fujairah port. Yes, it's a oil. I think 1.7 million barrels are shipped from that port. So, but over time, tumitigil na, kumukonti na. But still, UAE has received the most number of missiles, almost 2,000 since this, more than all the other countries, more than Israel, more than double, and
drones.
it's around 2,000. So we're also wondering, UAE is wondering, bakit kami pinupuntirya? You know?
Yung balitang may inaresto daw na OFW, dalawa, is it
dalawa.
confirmed? Kasi kagabi
Yes,
hindi
we have-
confirmed eh.
Yeah, we were alerted yesterday together with 35, and I think there are more nationals now. 35 persons, different nationalities, including our dalawang kababayan natin, both females. So we've identified them, we've contacted their families, we're providing legal assistance or legal retainer. We're asking for consular visit, but may I just withhold identities in the meantime, in deference to the
Yeah.
families. But yung isa, nakausap namin yung husband niya nasa Pilipinas. Yung isa, she has cousins here. So, in fact, they're arriving here from Dubai to talk to our lawyer.
Ambassador, what offense exactly did they commit?
Well, first of all, even without this, taking videos, confidential privacy is very important here. Hindi rin basta-basta pwede kumuha ng videos. And more so now with this crisis, they really instituted a new rule na bawal mag-post
Blackout.
ng mga videos, bawal gumawa ng AI videos, at bawal din mag-show ng mga aftermath, yung mga kung may debris. So, I think I haven't seen yung dalawang videos in question, no, why they were arrested, no, kasi natatakot na rin yata yung mga iba mag-share because even sharing it is delikado, no. So but I think one showed at the path of a incoming drone, and yung isa naman parang the area yata where a drone has just landed. So aside from it's creating alarm or panic, and syempre tatakot ng mga tao, some analysts are also saying it could be used for intelligence purposes kasi the other side can see kung saan dumaan, nakita kong yung tinarget natin hindi doon, so
Right.
that's part of the reason then.
Sa Pilipinas
But-
siguro nangyari yan, Ambassador, lahat kumuha ng video.
Tsaka may selfie.
So,
May mga
selfie pa.
namumulot din may mga namumulot din ng debris.
yeah. But
So talaga.
as far as we know, kasi yun nga, I think I saw, if it's accurate, I think I saw one of those videos, and it does show an incoming missile. And then the issue, I guess, is they posted it. But how serious a crime is that there? I mean, I understand
Very
there's a bit of a
serious.
news blackout, but
Yeah.
this doesn't seem to be that sinister.
Yeah,
magkumpul
and
ka
I
na
think
doon.
they just wanted to inform their families na don't worry, parang ganon, we are safe, and it's far from their areas. But yun na nga, they're imposing it, they're very strict. It's up to a penalty of 1 year imprisonment and a fine
Wow.
of 100,000 dirhams. That's around 1.6 million pesos. So,
Wow.
in fact, there was even a report on social media. There was a British national who, when he was just about to be arrested, took down the video and still he was arrested. There are others, mas maano kasi some are really manufacturing videos via AI, no? So I think mas ano pa yon kasi they're showing some landmarks here na sumabog na or mga ganon. So it's really very
Anong tawag sa offense, Ambassador? Is it a security offense or a privacy
Yeah.
offense? Ano siya?
It's a security offense. Yes, it's due to the emergency rin. So some of the measures they instituted to preserve na rin
so-
yung safety, stability.
But that's,
Ambassador, para
non-bailable
maunawaan ng mga
siya, they're
nakikinig
still
dito,
detained.
iba yung
I'm sorry.
mga,
Still detained.
para
wait,
maunawaan.
wait.
Okay,
Ami, go.
hindi ko narinig si Ami.
They're still detained, nakakulong pa rin sila.
Yes, we know where they are
Nakakulong pa rin yung
detained.
dalawa
And,
and non-bailable yan. Non-billable.
As of now, we just sent 2 people there to see them, and I just got the text that they're both there together at this certain police station. They're okay, and we're asking now if we can visit them and get statements. So it's still being technically under investigation.
May para
Because they were
maunawaan
arrested
lang,
yesterday.
Ambassador, ng mga tagapakinig natin, yung mga tanong ni Ami, iba yung rules dyan eh. Mismo public gatherings of a few people,
Yes.
highly
Yes.
forbidden. No? Lalo-lalo na dyan sa social media, dyan.
Yeah.
Ibang-iba yung
Even
sitwasyon
vloggers
dyan.
need a permit.
Yeah.
Kailangan mag-apply ka ng permit na kung
Yes.
vlogger ka.
Oo, ang daming bawal dyan.
That's very
So-
strict, no? But I wonder if you said one of the reasons was just to inform their family that they're okay. I mean, couldn't that be a mitigating factor?
We'll see. Kasi it's a new law. It's because of this emergency. So, and we're hoping naman na they'll also be consider na the situation na they just wanted to, and in fact, it could help them in for their own military planners here, or it can be used as intelligence. But don't want to second guess it at this time. So mainit pa kasi with all this all happening, and there were like a roundup really. So siguro gusto nilang pakita na they're really serious in this in enforcing this new rule.
Sir, so ihiwalay po natin yung kaso ng paggamit ng AI kasi ibang kaso naman yun. Pero what you're basically saying is that yung simpleng pagkuha ng mga paparating na missile, kahit sa himpapawid lang,
Ginagawa natin.
Oo, yung nakikita na sa balita, basically. Nakita na sa balita,
Yeah. Yes.
yun po ay bawal i-post sa social media.
Yes.
Mismo kumuha, bawal.
Mismong pagkuha, bawal.
Oo.
Not unless
Yes,
you're...
yes. Yung mga iba,
Official
sinusundan
media.
talaga. Yung mga iba, nasusundan talaga nila yung trajectory, kung saan nag-land, kung saan nag-ano.
Paano yung
So, yun
official
ang-
media?
Paano yung media? Paano yung mga
Media blackout
journalist?
May news.
Hindi naman. Meron din dito. Meron din. In fact, we're very timely ang reporting nila. We just got a report na may missile na naman kanina. There was one fatality, hindi Filipino. So, up to date. And the way they issue yung alerts, you get a text na it really, kahit patay daw yung phone mo, lalabas. So, tapos, you are given enough time. Very effective yung kanilang alert system. Tapos after that, if the coast is clear, if okay na, you get another text. So, minsan, yung mga iba, pag alam nilang dumating na, lalabas yun, due to ganyan, we are addressing the situation, please stay indoors, go to ganyan. Minsan, lalo pang lalabas yung mga iba, lalo pang titignan ko.
On another note,
Lalo pang
Ambassador,
mapamat.
on another note, nagre-retaliate ba yung mga Gulf states na binobomba?
Hindi.
Lalo na ang UAE
Yun na nga
na
eh.
maraming tama?
Yes.
No? Nagre-retaliate ba
Yan
sila
ang sinasabi
in terms
ng
of,
UAE that they won't even let their airspace be used for others. So, talagang defense. And they've been very effective. As I said, almost 2,000 missiles. They've intercepted close to over 90%. And they have fighters patrolling. They have even Apache helicopters that can shoot down these low drones. So that's helping us then have confidence na talagang we're safe and secure here. Wala pa naman talagang casualties, mga Pilipino.
Yung
only
ang
two
tanong ko,
injured.
Ambassador, these are defensive capability. Are they retaliating? Are they attacking Iran? At kung meron bang mga bilateral talks, paano sabi ng Iran, sorry, pero we have to continue doing this.
Yeah.
Pero nag-apologize sila. So are they having bilateral talks or are talaga bang defensive lang ang kanilang ginagawa?
Talagang defensive lang. At first kasi they said they're targeting the US military installations here. Kasi dito, Kuwait, Qatar, even Saudi, may mga military bases. Dito may 4. So originally, yun ang target. And in fact, yung mga Filipinos doon who were working there were told to go home na. So yun din akala namin. So, pero yung drone kasi, like for example, ma-intercept yan, sa taas, yung debris nun, hindi mo na matatarget yun. So it might fall on a public area like what happened to one of the hotels in Dubai. Pero mabilis din sila mag-react. Like for that hotel within an hour nawala na yung fire put out na in the airport kanina. They
Yeah.
kept the runway open. So mabilis sila mag-react. So Filipinos still feel safe and secure, and they just want to siguro take this opportunity na sundan lang din natin yon, respetuhin natin yung mga batas. It's all done for own good for all the expats. There are over 200 nationalities here, so it's really a very cosmopolitan place. So
Yeah.
very, and life goes on.
Ambassador, let me just circle
Mga
back
ilan
to the
kasamang ano?
let me just circle back to the repatriations. How many more do you expect to repatriate, and how many more chartered flights will be coming in and out?
We're taking it as kasi yun na nga, for example dito sa Dubai, nung at first over the weekend nung there was the threat na we will also attack other ports, we had a surge in emails reporting to us, but we're calling them one by one, so it's still wait and see, but we're ready, and we're opening other paths na rin or other routes. So in fact sana makabalik na rin ang PAL, makabalik na rin ang Cebu Pacific, so tuloy-tuloy na rin. But we're ready, we're preparing for even but right now it's fairly still stable. The surge that we expected, bumawi naman na hindi naman na masyado nagulat mga tao.
Ami.
Would you know kung ilan ang kasama ng dalawa na naaresto? Because you were saying may ibang mga foreigner
Yeah.
na naaresto. Would you know kung mga ilan sila?
The first report was that they were around 35. 35 sila, and 17 Indian nationals in fact out of that 35. So may Nepali, may Egyptian, so halo-halo din. And karamihan, tayo lang yata yung may dalawang females. Pareho silang female.
And
Lahat sila detained ngayon.
Lahat
All
sila
detained.
detained.
And as far as you
Kita,
know,
no?
the two Filipinos that were detained merely shot footage of missiles incoming. Hindi sila gumawa,
Yeah.
they didn't fabricate security-related videos or anything like
AI.
that.
Yeah, from what I know, they just recorded yung actual attack, parang gano'n.
May alam ba kayong regional initiative to protect the Strait of Hormuz? Any exploratory effort para regional effort?
Yun na nga, nag-expand na, naging doon na rin ang battleground
Yeah.
ngayon, closing the Hormuz,
Sa Kargil.
choking off the oil supply. So hopefully, I understand there are many back channels being done already, and last week there was an initiative in the United Nations, a resolution calling for parang condemnation of the attacks, parang ganon. So, I'm sure marami nangyayari dyan. But ang lumalabas kasi, some countries are calling for asking to protect or really make sure that the Hormuz is open. So, but now technically it's closed. No one is trying, no.
2 weeks ago, Ambassador, nagsalita yung ambassador ng Iran dito, at ang sabi daw ng grand leader o great leader ng Iran, yung anak ni Khamenei na ngayon ay natatago, ay parang maganda ang kanilang relasyon sa Pilipinas. Very friendly daw sila at wala silang nakikitang dispute with our country. Yan ba ay
Oo naman.
yan ba ay nagagamit natin yung ganyang klaseng mga statements?
Friends naman tayo sa lahat. Wala naman
Yeah,
tayo
it's
na,
true.
nadamay lang tayo dito dahil sa mga Pilipino. At kaya nalangin din tayo na sana matapos na. Tayo yung naapektuhan. At tayo so sabi nga nila, when the elephants fight, the grass is affected. So the ants, so kaibigan natin lahat, and hopefully that we can find a way to also mediate siguro or find a solution to this.
Do we?
Okay.
Okay, we'll leave that there, and we'll check back in with you after you have attended to the two OFWs who are detained right now. Thanks so much
Yes.
joining Storycon and talking to us. That was Philippine Ambassador to the UAE, Ambassador Alfonso Ferdinand Ver.
Maraming salamat.
Thank you.
Ambassador.
Thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you.
Okay, that is all the time we have for today. Thanks for joining Storycon. I'm Pamintuan, Editor-in-Chief of the Philippine Star, and Ronald Llamas, our resident political pundit. Join us again tomorrow, 4 p.m. for Storycon. I'm Regina Lake.
I'm Ed Lingao. Kapatid, we are One News, all sides, all the time.
This is the Story Conference Group or the Storycon Group.